All right, Ms. Cordell is just picking up our certificates, but I'll get us started. Good evening. My name is Julie McLaughlin. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we welcome our community to the April 2026 board meeting. The time is now 7:05 p.m., and the board is returning to open session. We are resuming our agenda at item number 4. There is no action to be taken on matters discussed in closed session, so we will proceed to agenda item number 5, which is our opening exercises and pledges. The board welcomes Ms. Eldridge, principal of Willow Springs Middle School.
Good evening. I am honored tonight to introduce 8th grade Willow Springs student Zion Abedin. Zion's favorite subject in school is mathematics. What he most appreciates about our school and district are the kind and caring teachers who have all helped him along his educational journey. Zion is a member of our WSMS orchestra, playing the cello, and he also plays tennis. We are so proud of you, Zion, for showing servant leadership on our campus on a daily basis.
Please stand and remove your hats for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the Texas pledge. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Excellent job. We appreciate you being here tonight. We're going to make you come up front and get a picture. Thank you. Agenda item number 6, recognition. We begin our meetings by recognizing key celebrations for our students, staff, and community because they are at the heart of our mission as a district. And for those of you watching at home, our room is full tonight of all the people that we're going to recognize. We'll begin with Ms. Cordell, Leadership Lovejoy.
Good evening. We are so excited to have with us this evening parents and members of our community who committed to a deep dive over the entire school year. So Leadership Lovejoy are parents and community members that are interested in being invested and involved in Lovejoy ISD, and they have the opportunity to learn about all facets of our school district. So they ride on a school bus, they visit each campus, interact with the principal, they go into our classrooms, they learn about our transportation function, human resources, student services, operations, and of course, finance. And we are so privileged to have parents that want to get involved and invested on this level. And it has been an absolute delight and pleasure to get to know each of them individually on a deeper level. And I just can't wait for their continued involvement in our district. And so we want to make sure that we are recognizing and celebrating the type of community and parent involvement that we so treasure in Lovejoy. We would love to invite the members of the Leadership Lovejoy class of 2026 up to the front for a photograph.
We can. We can. I'll get these up. Okay, I have yours in order. I had them all in order and now they're not. I know, right? We'll just sort this out over here. Perfect. Got it.
All right. Thank you again to our Leadership Lovejoy class. We appreciate you. Our next recognition is our introduction of Heather Cox. Again, Ms. Cordell.
Yes, we are so excited to welcome Heather Cox. Where is Heather? You can have her stand up. Hi, Heather. This is Ms. Cox's first official meeting. She is here as a member of Cabinet. She is Chief of Human Resources and Communications. We were so excited to have her official approval earlier in the school year. But as she transitions to her role as Ms. Koenig retires, her well-deserved retirement, we want to make sure everyone knows who Heather is and is able to welcome her, and we look forward to all the great things that she is going to do in her new role.
right, now we're on to our student recognitions. Dr. Zambezi?
All right, Madam President, Superintendent Cordell, members of the board, we are excited to have 3 different programs tonight to recognize for student recognitions. First up, I'd like to bring up our head orchestra director, Miss Brandy Phillips, as she honors our all-state recipient in orchestra.
So I am so proud to recognize and honor Evan Zhang here. He is one of thousands of musicians across the state of Texas who in the fall compete in a rigorous audition process to make an all-state ensemble. Very few make that. So Evan is a part of our orchestra here in Lovejoy. He has been playing, he started violin actually when he was 9 and recently switched to viola. And that is what he made the Sinfonietta Orchestra on viola, and he got to go and perform, work with a very esteemed professor, director at Michigan University, and then they do a clinic and concert at TMEA, Texas Music Educators Association, in February. So we are so proud of him. This is an incredible accomplishment. So.
All right, and next up on the bottom slide, we are going to go into Lovejoy ISD Athletics, and so I would like to welcome Coach Murdoch and LHS Boys and Girls Powerlifting to the podium.
Good evening. First, thank you to Superintendent Cordell and the Board of Trustees for hosting us this evening. Outstanding achievements by these Lovejoy student athletes. A tremendous investment of time, effort, energy, being dedicated to a craft that afforded them the opportunity to qualify and represent Lovejoy at the state level. This was a historic season for Lovejoy powerlifting. Overall, 4 students qualified for the state meet. We'll start with junior Prince Josh Adarimi. Josh was ranked number 1 in the unequipped division of his weight class, but due to circumstances completely outside of his control, did not get the opportunity to go and compete. But had he had the opportunity, he would have absolutely destroyed the competition. Best thing is, he's got another opportunity next year. Here you go. Next, we have senior Ben Sussman. Ben is a 2-time state qualifier. He was 5th place in the region this year and had an outstanding performance, lifting a personal best this year at the state meet in Abilene. Ben Sussman. Next, we have Ty Smith. Ty Smith finished overall in 4th place in his weight class at the state competition in Abilene. He is the 2-time Region 6 Division I champion and has left a lasting impact and legacy on the powerlifting program here at Lovejoy High School. Ty Smith. Unfortunately, we weren't able to be here this evening, but would like to recognize Harper Smith. Harper Smith competed in the girls unequipped division. She was the Region 6 champion and the overall best lifter for the region, and finished in the top 10 in the state as well. Harper Smith. Lastly, this is a first for Lovejoy ISD and the powerlifting program. Senior Tenny Sagoon is your state champion power lifter and the top overall deadlifter for the entire state of Texas. I can say that she is absolutely one of the most committed, one of the most dedicated athletes I've ever seen. She is also going to represent the track team in the regional track meet this weekend. So she is still competing for the Lovejoy Leopards. First ever powerlifting state champion, Tenny Sagoon. I'd also like to say a special thanks to School Marshal Chris Smith, who's dedicated 8 years of selfless service to this program. As y'all know, he does not get compensated for it, but he is in there every day after school, helping develop these student athletes achieve the goals that they have for themselves. Thank you, Coach Smith.
All right, and our next group will be our HOSA state qualifiers. The kids are all here, and filling in for the coach who came down with a little illness will be our principal, Mr. Wheeler. So HOSA state qualifiers and accomplishments, handing it off to you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Cordell, cabinet members, and community members. I have the privilege of recognizing our HOSA state qualifiers today. It's ironic that their sponsor is out with a sickness, because I feel like any one of these students would have been able to take care of them with their medical background. So I'm proud to recognize the following students for qualifying for the HOSA 2026 State Conference in Corpus Christi this year. HOSA is a national student-led organization aimed at promoting career opportunities in the healthcare industry. There are over 350,000 members, and these students were able to compete at the state competition and qualified for the state competition. So I am going to start, and when I call your name, come on up to the front. I'm going to start with Claire Wu, and Claire took 10th place in medical math in the state competition. Congratulations, Claire. Mila Kamali, and Mila received the Barbara James Service Award. Miranda Cubas Sanchez, and she received the HOSA Happenings Award. Congratulations. Cameron Fetadine, and she received the Barbara James Service Award, or he received. Congratulations, Cameron. Rachel Akin-Falorin, and Rachel received the Barbara James Service Award. Kavya Polani, and Kavya received the Barbara James Service Award. Congratulations. Noah Kamali, and the Barbara James Service Award. Anson Fan, and he received the Barbara James Service Award. Sure. And just put it right behind yours. There you go. Shri Baija, and Shri received the Barbara James Service Award. And Lane Deschamps received the Barbara James Service Award. Congratulations.
And then lastly, in fine arts, we had our 6 Majestics dance officers have a great season, even at the national level. They did contact us yesterday, and they are, both the dance officers and the director have come down with illness. And so they really, really wanted to be here and requested that they get moved to the May meeting. So we will get to see all of them at the May regular board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And the recognitions continue. Mr. Percival.
So tonight, we would like to take a moment to recognize one of our Lovejoy High School students. There was a unique partnership that arose from, most of you guys know that the city of Lucas is in the process of developing their first ever police department. And so there was a unique opportunity and partnership between both the district and the city for a patch design project. So back in late February, officials from the city went over and met with the visual arts class and Mr. McCaslin and kind of laid out a little bit of a framework. And you can see there on the screen what some of the parameters were, but really wanted to tap in to the talent there at the high school as part of this project. And so I would like to invite Mr. McCaslin up to give a little bit of a background, and we can highlight this accomplishment. This is actually something that will be withstanding from now moving forward. And, you know, Mayor Kirkendall, along with Chief Kowalski, had an opportunity to stand in front of the students and really talk about the importance and the groundbreaking process of actually developing a police department for the first time. And so anyway, what an opportunity, and I'm going to kick it over to Mr. McCaslin.
Good evening, everybody. First, thanks for having us. It's always such a good opportunity to let people see what our kids can do. And it was really fun to watch as the mayor and the new police chief came in. And a lot of times when people aren't around high school kids a lot, they there's this kind of like awkward second or two where they're like, okay, like they might bite, which is wonderful because some they might, and thankfully ours don't. And it was so just exciting to watch them interact with our kids and see how professional and how absolutely blown away they are with what our kids do. And I want to state, this has nothing to do with me. This is the fact that our students are at a place where they're confident in their work. They're really comfortable discussing their work and talking about their own strengths and weaknesses, taking feedback, which is a really wonderful thing. And so I want to bring Liv Guariello up here really quick, and I want to tell you a couple things about her. So Liv has been in the LJV art department for 4 years, and I knew from the first minute that she stepped foot in the studio that she was going to absolutely crush it. And she's been one of our gallery managers for the past 2 years, where she has established herself as a trusted leader and somebody that everyone can rely on. She's always there, sometimes earlier than I am. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And I love it because it speaks to her dedication. And I think one of the coolest things that I've been able to watch is Liv become confident in her own ability and skills, not only as an analog artist, but as a digital designer. And that has led to Liv going to school next year, where she will be majoring in illustration and fine art, where she received the Jerry Benjamin Memorial Full Tuition Scholarship to MIAD, which is the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. Liv? Come on. And I would love for Liv to give you a little bit of background about her design and what that looked like.
Of course. Hello, my name is Liv Guariello, and for this design, I wanted to focus mainly on what the police department is going to represent. So I chose some flowers for the designs, and the blue bonnets are the Texas state flower, and then the purple Texas sage represents resilience because the plant has to deal with a harsh environment here in Texas. I also chose the horseshoe as an homage to the symbols of Lucas, which is the mother horse and the foal. And the palette itself kind of pulls from the original design of the Lucas city logo. The star is the lone star representing Texas and our independence, and I wanted to choose the banner because of the kind of Western look of most banners with the text. And the blue symbolizes the loyalty and truth I hope the police department will represent. Thank you so much.
Liv did an absolutely, we're going to get a photo in a minute, but I just want to say, I was actually at the Lucas Town Hall meeting where Liv presented to the community, and she did a remarkable job. She was so eloquent, and I know I'm biased, but I think that that was everybody's favorite part of the town hall meeting, was getting to see the lovely patch. And then she doesn't know it, but I then had the opportunity that next week, Mr. Percival and I were at a large event where there were law enforcement from all over Collin County, and I was kind of out of the corner of my eye looking at everybody's patches, and they have some nice looking patches, but nothing like what Liv has designed. And so to think about her artwork being part of the Lucas Police Department potentially for the next 20, 30, 40 years is really remarkable, and that speaks to the legacy that our visual arts program is creating. And Mr. McCaslin, you were way too humble. The reason our students are able to achieve this level of professionalism in high school and have the opportunities that they are able to earn is because of what you pour into them and the kind of environment that you create and how you promote excellence in the classroom.
What a way to kick off a meeting. Thank you for all of the folks that attended the meeting tonight. We enjoyed that. Agenda item number 7, public comments. Ms. Taylor, do we have any public comments? All right, with no public comments submitted, we will proceed with our agenda. I didn't ask you in advance. But Mr. Bobo, would you please lead our invocation?
Everyone bow your heads. Dear God, thank you so much for this time we have together. Especially thank you for giving us the opportunities to see these wonderful students who have succeeded, even some, and all the students that necessarily don't come across our board presentations. We just are so appreciative of the wonderful opportunities that we have here at the school district with all of our wonderful educators and teachers and staff that help to deliver the best that we can and deliver students that are doing the very best they can. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Agenda item number 9. Board, your materials for the meeting tonight contain notifications of new hires, resignations, public information requests, and our monthly cabinet reports. Are there any questions or comments on these items?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
We're moving on. Agenda item number 10, consent agenda. Our materials for tonight contain consent agenda items, including prior meeting minutes, monthly finance report, routine MOUs and certifications, the second round of our annual teacher and staff employment agreements as recommended by the admin. Are there any questions on these items, or is there an item that trustee would like pulled for separate consideration? Or a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye and raise hands.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to the main portion of our agenda tonight. We have a celebration of learning presentation, which highlights the fantastic teaching and learning happening in our Lovejoy campuses. Tonight, we will focus on Lovejoy High School Health Science. Dr. Tinsley.
Good evening, thank you. We've kind of given you a little bit of a prelude to this tonight when we were able to recognize our students, and so we thought this was a timely presentation. So we are celebrating the HOSA, which is our future health professionals. And Kathy Barnett is our teacher, and as Mr. Wheeler said, she's out ill tonight, so she's not able to be here, but we really do want to celebrate her and the work that she has done with this program. Just want to lift up that when we look at Focus for Learning, and this is one of our Lovejoy 2030 strategic plans, is that we're looking for opportunities for our students to engage in future-ready skills. And HOSA certainly meets that criteria when we're looking at those opportunities for our students. So I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Wheeler to talk to you a little bit about what HOSA involves and also recognize our students again.
Sure, thank you. And good evening again. So I just briefly to tell you a little bit about HOSA, and I wish Ms. Barnett was here, and I feel like I missed it when we recognized our students. The amount of time and energy that she puts into this club is amazing. Our HOSA club started last year, so to have 10 state qualifiers in the second year is just amazing. And a little bit more, so that they have different areas that they focus on is clinical nursing, emergency medical technology, dental science, pharmacology, and behavioral health. And these competitions aren't just one competition that these students go to. Earlier, we recognized students for the Barbara James Service Award. That service award is given for students that get over 100 hours of service in the year that's aligned with health or health services. And there's different levels based on how many hours you get. So it's not just one exam or one test that they take. It really is a culmination of a year's long work. So this year we had 95 members. There's 350,000 members nationwide that join this HOSA organization. And the goal of the program is to it's a student-led organization, and the goal is to prioritize those health services and those fields that they'll go into. Many of our students in HOSA are also in our dual credit pharmacology or health science, doing practicum work in addition to the service that they're doing. So really students that are committed to the health sciences in that field. And Dr. Tinsley, is there anything I missed or anything you wanted me to elaborate on?
No, I just really do want to highlight the work, the extra time that Mrs. Barnett has put into this program and the high level of interest of our students. And again, we're just about a year out, and look how well they did at the state level in the competition too. So really want to celebrate our students. So thank you.
And 10 this year, so if we're going, it's 20 next year, and then we'll go 40 the year after,
That's
I think,
right. Yeah,
Something like that?
that's the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, agenda item number 12. At this time, I will now open a public hearing on the 2025 evaluation of accelerated instruction. The Texas Education Code requires each district's Board of Trustees to hold a public hearing for public discussion to evaluate the effectiveness of the accelerated instruction program for STAR end-of-course assessments. Ms. Taylor, are there any public comments? All right, agenda item number 13 will be a presentation by the administration on the 2025 evaluation of accelerated instruction program for STAR EOC. Dr. Tinsley.
Thank you. So what this is, as President McLaughlin shared, this is an annual report that we provide on our EOC assessments, and so this involves our high school students. And so overall, what we're going to provide for you is the performance of our students as well as the retesters and the interventions that we put in place to support these students on meeting the minimum requirements or the excelling on this test. So what you're going to see tonight, just going to give you a quick overview of how this impacts and what grade levels the students are administered these tests. For English 1, Algebra 1, and Biology, that is traditionally administered in grade 9. Grade 10, English 2, and grade 11 is U.S. History. They are administered 3 times during the year, so students have that many opportunities. However, throughout the 4-year period, generally a student will have 10 opportunities to take the English 1, Algebra 1, and Biology, 7 opportunities for English 2, and 4 opportunities for U.S. History. I'm not going to repeat what was mentioned in the code. President McLaughlin shared with you on what our responsibilities are with that. So what we're going to look at programming structures, learning design, I'm gonna share some information on student participation and student performance. So for spring 2025, our overall performance, which you'll see in this chart here, is that we made some comparisons with the state overall passing rate, then the number of our students that were administered the test, and then our passing rates for each of the assessments listed there. If you see the asterisk there, that means there are 10 or fewer students, so we traditionally do not put the number there. So, but as you can see in our spring performance, our kids did exceptionally well. We had a few students that we provided some, we knew that we were going to have retesters on, and we began that interventions. So just to give you an idea of what we do offer, we offer before and after school tutorials and those content areas listed there. Also during leopard time, we utilize that time for interventions with Algebra 1 and biology. And then as we move into testers for the summer of 2025, we did not have not many students, of course, took the test during that time, which is common. We do provide remediation for our students during the summer. We are making a shift with that this summer, where we are offering we're actually offering 3 weeks of that for our students. We're offering longer sessions for our students, but this is what was offered last summer. And then they receive that remediation in core content areas during the first week there. We offer this at no cost to our students. So if they will participate, we have teachers there that are certified to provide that remediation. And then in the fall of 2025, again, this is your percentage of students that we had retest in the fall. And this, again, is what the remediation that we do offered for our students before or after school tutorials and also during leopard time. Mr. Wheeler, would you like to add anything else to that of what high school is doing to support these students?
The only thing I would add is we're targeted in our approach. It's intentional. Our teachers have a list of students, and we invite those students into leopard time and before and after school tutorials to make sure they're getting what they need. Really digging down to what each student needs. You saw in one of the first slides, Algebra 1, if a student does not meet standards in that first time, they may take it up to 10 times. So our goal is for students not to have to take that test 10 times. So we're looking at data and trying to figure out where those gaps are, and really trying to get a individual approach to those interventions.
And also interventions occurred during the general class period as well too. Like Mr. Wheeler said, we take that data, we determine what students we can pull for small groups. We do some flexible grouping also with other teachers supporting those students as well.
Any questions or discussion? Update. Hearing no further comments or questions, I will now close the public hearing and we will resume our regular meeting. Agenda item 15 is a presentation, a programmatic review of the Student Nutrition Program. Our board activity calendar calls for periodic program reviews to support the board's duty of oversight and our focus on our legacy of excellence and all that we do for kids. Mr. Willman.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Cordell. Thank you for having me here tonight to present on our student nutrition program. So our student nutrition program is offered at 5 of our school locations. The one location where we do not service here at the LCDC. Our 5 locations made up of 31 team members, 28 that is campus-based student nutrition support staff, and then we have 3 central office staff that support them. We do have our Director of Student Nutrition, Matt McCarty, here with us tonight. And then we currently do have 4 vacancies at our campuses. We serve over 1,500 lunches daily, and that makes up nearly 246,000 lunches a year. So you can see here that some of the top picks at our schools, and you look at our elementary, no surprise, chicken nuggets are a favorite and top pick there. It's also a top pick at my household. And then even when you look at the Willow Springs and the high school, the chicken theme, and then also pizza. You may recall that around this time last year, we went through a process, an RFP process, to solicit some responses from local vendors to help provide new options at our secondary schools. And you can see here we did award 5 local vendors to provide meals or a la carte items at our campuses, at our high school and at our middle school. So we have Paleo's Pizza, Chick-fil-A, Wagyu No Argue, Subway, and K-Cup Kitchen. Now this is in order of favorites at the high school. So we've seen our sales increase, I think almost every Wednesday. That's when we serve the pizza. Thursday pizzas that we pretty much sell out on the pizza. But we've seen our sales increase because of the vendors, the new vendor additions. And then at the middle school, we offer Domino's Pizza there. When we think about the student nutrition program, our primary schools and our intermediate school are currently on the National School Lunch Program. Our secondary schools are not. So when we think about the National School Lunch Program, the K through 6 campuses, we receive federal funding and federal support for the meals that are served. So when we think about mapping out our menus for the year, there are some strict guidelines that we have to follow because of the federal guidelines. So some of the standards here is the fruit and vegetable serving requirements, the whole grains, at least 80% of grain servings, and then the limits on sodium and sugar, and also the fat limits. You can see here the reimbursement rates for each of the different categories. So if students and families qualify for free meals, we're reimbursed at the $4.60 and then so forth. And then we even receive 44 cents for those that don't qualify for either free or reduced. So you can see here about 4.5% of our students currently are under the free and reduced program. So that we generate not only through federal reimbursements, but we also have options to pick from the commodity foods allocation that helps reduce and lower some of the food cost. So we get roughly a benefit of anywhere from $135,000 to $145,000 on federal funds. Our secondary, we're not on the program. It's a much larger, 2 large campuses. The main difference, so the high school has never been on the National Lunch School Program. Willow Springs moved off of it in the 2013 year. This provides us more flexibility. So when we think about elementary and intermediate, it's more meals driven. So our federal funding only reimburses us for the full meal that we serve. So at the secondary, we see a lot of a la carte sales. So they're just one-off items that they're purchasing. So it'd be a slice of pizza versus all the different components of the meal. So this provides us, under the National School Lunch Program, we are required there's regulations for both meals and a la carte. So if we were on the National Lunch School Program at the secondary, we wouldn't be able to offer these vendors and bring them in and provide the meals. And within our revenue, a majority of our revenue is coming from that a la carte sales, and it really supports the program. So here's just kind of a comparison, and when we look at both revenue and expenditures. So you can see here that 95% of our revenue is made up of sales. So that's both a la carte and then also meal sales. Over to the right, you'll see that just the total revenues resulting from sales has been pretty consistent through March over the past 4 years. So we've been hovering around the 1.4, a little bit over the 1.4 million. Last year we kind of dipped a little bit, but we're back up at that 1.4 million in the current year. And then we look at the expenditures. Half of our expenditures is made up of staffing, and then a majority of the other is really food costs. The miscellaneous small percentage there is going to be supply costs. So you're thinking about utensils and plates and things of that nature. And then we do have some contracted services for repairs that are required within the kitchen. But you can see here that our total expenditures each year continues to climb. You can see we're at a high right now in the current year, but that is due to the new vendors that we brought in. So our food cost is going up a little bit, but then also with staffing costs and the staff salary increases that we've seen over the past 4 years. So when we look at the overall kind of where the student nutrition program has been since the school year 2022, you can see there we had a large surplus. That's a result of, that was post-COVID, coming out of COVID, and every meal was reimbursed at that full price. So we had a large surplus there. We continued that into the school year of 2023. But then you'll see that we went into a deficit in '24. That's largely in part due to, you may recall that we approved some new kitchen equipment and the use of fund balance for that. And that was $348,000. So if we didn't need to replace that kitchen equipment, you can see we still would have had a surplus of about $170,000. But you see the surplus is going down each year. A lot of that has to do with our board priority around compensation and the focus on compensation. In school year '24, the board passed a 3% increase in salaries and also increased the per hour minimum to $15. That had a big impact on our student nutrition program because most of our staff were on the lower minimum wage, so moving them up to $15 and then a 3% increase. But we also focus on the medical contribution. We increased it by $600 per participating on an annual basis during that year. And then again in '25, we did another 2% pay increase on top of another $600 contribution. And then in the current year, because of the state mandate of the 3% for all non-instructional staff increase, we gave another 3%. So over the past 3 years, student nutrition employees have received 8% increase in pay on top of annual contribution increase of $1,500 towards their medical expenditures. So that's been the driving factors where we're seeing increased food costs, increased compensation, but sales have been kind of consistent. So we're seeing a decrease in our overall net profit.
On the kitchen equipment, did we just expense that? We didn't capitalize it?
It's capitalized in a sense, and we'll depreciate it, but from a fund balance, it's going to show as an expense as the use of the fund balance.
That we were able to use some of the nutrition fund balance for that would have had to transfer over anyways. Is that partially, do I remember that?
Make a profit for multiple years or something like that.
Was there something different about not being able to have over a certain amount accumulated nutrition fund balance?
Previous requirements were that you can't have more than 90 days of fund balance. And if you do, you have to submit a plan at which how you're going to spend it. I believe there's been conversations, Matt, that that's increased, or is it still at 90 days? 6 months. So it's increased that we can hold up to 6 months. Yes, sir.
Have the compensation increases, have we noticed impact on turnover and vacancies and how long it's taken to get people in there? Or is it still a struggle?
It's still a struggle right now to fill vacant positions. And then we do have quite a bit of turnover. Our 3 central staff member on a daily basis, they're each at one of the campuses supporting because not only is it hard to fill the unfilled positions, we also don't have very many subs when staff are out. So it's usually all hands on deck. You'll see my admin assistant every now and then, our AP specialist out there helping serving meals in time of need. Okay, so some highlights for the current year. So as I mentioned, we've partnered with local restaurants to bring more variety to the high school. We've served at Willow Springs over 3,900 slices of Domino's pizza. And this is only one day, Thursdays only. And we also didn't start it until it was October timeframe, like end of October. So it was 2 months into the school year. So our middle school students definitely love Domino's. And then we've also, at the elementary school, we've delivered over 548 classroom birthday treat boxes to the classrooms. And then we have celebrations of National Food Days throughout the year, Harvest of the Month, spotlights and in-season fruit or vegetable. Then over 30 varieties of fruit and vegetables are offered at all our schools. This Friday, we're going to be celebrating our kitchen staff. The students aren't here, so we're going to bring them here to the admin office and celebrate them on School Lunch Hero Day. And then also, we're always looking for opportunities to improve on the different things that we serve within our kitchen. So we'll be releasing a student nutrition, student feedback, and parents feedback survey, so we can see what are other things that you would like for us to explore, and how we can be better in our kitchen and provide options for our students.
Thank you for such a comprehensive update. I can tell you that the McLaughlin household paid for some of those Domino's pizzas, because and also the student feedback survey, my child was very excited to put on there that she wanted more Domino's pizza. So thank you for a comprehensive update. We appreciate all that you do. I think this is important, just to kind of look behind the scenes at the operations of the school and all of the many ways that we serve students, both seen and unseen. And so we appreciate everything that goes in to serving this many children and this many meals, because that prepares them to learn. So thank you very much for the update. All right, agenda item number 16, we have a bond update. Mr. Percival.
Oh, I can just use. All right. So typically, when I come up after Thomas, he's just provided a budget update, and it makes me want to go home and redo my budget. But tonight, he talked about food, and now I'm hungry again. So, but we do appreciate, Matt, I know your team, I know staffing is always a challenge, but I've got a high schooler, and so he avidly supports the student nutrition department at the high school. So we'd like to give a brief bond update. Now that we've almost hit the 1-year anniversary from the bond election. So we're coming up on the end. Kind of crazy to believe that it's happened that quickly. I would like to report before we get into the update that we just completed last week our third and final bond implementation committee meeting. We had a group of 20 key stakeholders from around the community that had applied to be part of that, to do part of that work. And so we wrapped that up last week, and then we'll resume those committee meetings come the fall. So just to recap, our bond-funded capital expenditures that were attached to that 2025 bond package. Back in October, the Board of Trustees approved funds for work for the LSH track project. That was out of that 2024 issuance. That work will happen this summer once the state tournament or meet is finished. School bus purchases were also authorized in October. That has been completed. We've received 3 of the 8 of the buses. Our tennis court projects at both LHS and over at Willow Springs have been successfully completed. In December, authorization was done to do a classroom display refresh over at Willow Springs Middle School. If you recall, those systems over there utilized the projectors. Those were end of life. That was successfully completed and wrapped up during spring break. And then you'll see the Skyward Queue for the student information systems was part of that authorization in December, and we're projected to have that wrapped up during the summer. During January, authorization happened for the two-way radio system modernization. We've got all of the equipment is being stored right now in a warehouse. We're going to deploy the equipment, both the infrastructure and the actual devices will happen over the summer, so summer of 2006. Then in February, you see that the copy machines, that was an authorization. All of those have been deployed. That was definitely a highlight. And then the authorization to do work there at the auditorium for both the dome replacement and the pool liner replacement was authorized in February. That work we are anticipate to be completed this fall. You'll see there at the bottom, those are just a quick update of buses I already talked about. Forgive me, the split screen is kind of throwing me off a little bit. You'll see some before and after photos of the tennis courts. These are the ones over at the high school. You'll see that the total resurfacing, repainting, you can see the new windscreens back there are the slats instead of the windscreen material. Those are more durable and give us a longer lifespan. And then also those cabana benches, frames, and covers were replaced along with the netting. There's an example of the before and after of those screens that were replaced over at Willow Springs. And then we wanted to give a brief update. I know this is something that's on the agenda. Last meeting, you guys got a comprehensive update on the technology assessment that was done and recommendations for consideration, and then that's an agenda item later for tonight. But I did want to go ahead and add a couple slides just so that we're starting to integrate the technology. So that comprehensive assessment again was completed. A technology cohort was also assembled by the technology team and Dr. Tinsley, where there was teacher representation there that kind of helped drive those recommendations. Staff device refreshes for laptops, desktops, monitors, all of that will be deployed according to the refresh cycle, of course, all pending board approval. Expected implementation of that would be this summer. And then the student device refresh, again, those will be phased in with LHS being the first campus, and then any usable devices that still had some life left would be rolled down to be deployed at our lower grades. Again, pending board approval, the implementation would be expected to kick off this summer. Classroom AV and interactive displays. There are some classrooms over at the high school that are very similar to what we experienced at Willow Springs. And so there's some priority there to get those classroom displays mitigated as soon as able. So hopefully this summer. We already talked about Willow, and then you'll see there that Hart, Puster, and Sloan will be refreshed following that life cycle replacement schedule with the new standards, again, all pending approval from the board. Network infrastructure is also part of this. The network switches, routers, wireless access points. When we do a refresh on devices, we want to make sure that connectivity and saturation is where it needs to be. And part of that third-party assessment did show some heat maps where we have some gaps with coverage and connectivity from a Wi-Fi standpoint. And so all of that would be mitigated as part of the recommendation from the technology team. Major projects, if you'll recall, as part of that first issuance, the addition over at the high school of the wrestling gym. I'm happy to report that the pre-design and design is really starting to take shape. That's going to include a mat room, very similar to their setup now, where they're going to have some room for exercise equipment right adjacent to the mat room for cardio, along with restroom, showers, locker rooms. The bid and procurement on that is scheduled to kick off this summer. So we anticipate bringing a GMP for your consideration and approval as early as June for that project, with anticipated kickoff happening in August. The Hart Elementary School, we're in the pre-design phases of that as well, and we've had some good program meetings. Again, the design is scheduled to kick off this summer, and then we'll be doing procurement anticipated in the fall so that we can have good lead times on equipment and materials for a kickoff next summer for Phase 1 Hart architectural renovation. Security fencing will happen this summer at Puster, Sloan, and Willow. And then our transportation and maintenance building, we're in the pre-design phases of that. And as soon as we have some additional information on what that's going to look like as far as the demo and redesign, we'll be sure to bring that forward to the board. And then I'm not sure if you can see, there's a Gantt chart there at the bottom. And this kind of helps illustrate what we've talked about from timelines and scope things out just a little bit. But you can see there each of those major projects that we just talked about, what our anticipated design phase would be, and then procurement, and then if it's broken into multiple phases for construction, you can see how those are split out. But we'll continue to tweak those. But as we get closer to projects such as the wrestling gym, we'll start to bring more of a conceptual design and drawings here so that we can kind of start to illustrate what we can anticipate that project to look like once it does start to take shape. And I believe now Mr. Willman had a couple updates regarding bond funding.
Thank you, Mr. Percival. So what I have here is during our very first bond implementation committee meeting, there was a recommendation to show the amortization schedule of our first issuance on our website. So I'm happy to share that we do have that updated on our website. So when you go to our website and you go to the menu under Parents and Community Info Bond 2025, and then there's a bond issuance link that you can click on. And in that link, there'll be a slideshow that goes through each one of the different propositions and the amortization schedule for each one of those propositions. But then there's a PDF file that you can also download. So what we're showing here, what I think is important to share is that when we think about the package that is going to be brought forth for your consideration here later tonight on the IT and technology devices, you can see that all fits with under Proposition B. So when we go out and issue our debt, we work with our financial advisor, Mr. Witt, to understand what is the useful life of each of the assets. So when we look at Proposition B, we know that most of that technology has a useful life of 3 to 5 years. So you can see here with this amortization schedule, we actually paid off all of the debt, the $2.2 million, with our February 15th, 2026 payment. So we are not incurring ongoing interest through the life of those devices. So you're able to see each one of these broken out in its individual slides. So Proposition B, Proposition D, and Proposition E have been fully funded at this point in time, or fully paid off.
And then the last thing that I wanted to mention, you'll see that bottom slide there where it says Bond Projects Progress Report. Beginning in March, our communications department put together basically a progress report that really takes a snapshot of where we are with current projects and those that are scheduled upcoming. Those can be found on the main website, so the Lovejoy ISD website. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's a news section. It can also be found on the Bond 2025 tab on the Lovejoy site, and we'll continue to utilize that format to give updates. This same report was also sent out with the weekly Connect with Katie, and so we'll continue to utilize that format as we have reports or progress reports going forward. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have about the update.
Not a question, but a comment. I got to attend the last bond implementation committee meeting. I just want to thank that committee. They had a lot of thoughtful feedback, some really deep questions that I thought were excellent for what was being updated. But I think they were most excited, or they'll be most excited to see that Gantt chart, because that was probably their biggest question, was what is the progress timeline? So I appreciate you putting that in the presentation for them.
Once we posted this packet publicly, we sent them an email and let them know about that slide because we knew they'd be excited.
Thank you for the comprehensive update. Echo the gratefulness that we have for the members of the committee. It's just been exciting to see this come along, and I wanted to say thank you at your, I really feel like there's been extra effort geared towards transparency and communication about what we're doing and when we're doing it, and I appreciate that very much. Trustees, any additional comments? No? Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Our next 4 agenda items are all on topics where the board has received a detailed presentation at a prior meeting. We've had the opportunity to better understand and to ask questions. So these items are now back before the board for deliberation and vote. Agenda item number 17, consider an act on the School Library Advisory Council recommendations. The item before us tonight is to review and vote on the list of recommended library purchases submitted by our SLAC committee. This was presented to us at our April 13th board workshop, and the list of titles under consideration has also been posted on the district website. In the interest of an efficient meeting, rather than stepping through the full presentation a second time, I propose that we move directly to deliberations. Trustees, I'll open the floor for discussion or any questions that you have for Dr. Tinsley. Hearing none, we're going to entertain a motion.
Move that we adopt as presented.
Second. Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please both say aye and raise hands.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 18, consider an act on the use of 2025 bond issuance for capital expenditures in an amount to exceed $75,000 for technology device and network infrastructure purchase. So the item before us tonight is to review and vote on a recommended disbursement of bond funds for technology purposes. This was presented to us at our April 13th board workshop. And so in the interest of an efficient meeting, rather than stepping through the full presentation a second time, Dr. Tinsley, may I ask please that we just step through the 4 to 5 financial impact slides?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to go to, I'm sorry, there it is. We'll start with the staff devices, and you did notice some changes in the projected cost, and I want to kind of lay out some reasoning for that. So if you recall, we had some estimated cost for you for staff devices, which involved the docking, the monitor, the docking station for and keyboards for our classroom teachers and some other particular classrooms. When we gave, and then also the laptops or the ThinkPads that were the tablets and also the laptops, and then also just the desktop monitors for some of our clerks and receptionist areas. So in that initial quote that we were providing for you, we provided about a 5% contingency. So what we've done, we've raised this contingency to 10%, so that's why you're going to see somewhat of a little bit higher cost. Also, through further analysis and clarification of the types of devices assigned to staff, when Mr. Mueller dug into that a little bit more deeply, we noticed that there were some personnel positions that did require some of the laptops. For example, some of our special ed paraprofessionals and our contracted services staff. So that's why you're going to see a change from the initial quote that we provided you. So overall, what we are estimating for the cost not to exceed $940,000. When you move into your student devices, again, we provided for you a 5% contingency, and we increased that to 10%. The final quote that we received from our vendor on the student devices was higher, from $380 to $420 per staff, and that's due to the market fluctuation going on right now with technology. But the current quotes that we provided are locked in at this time for both the staff devices and the student devices. And then with the displays, again, the change in contingency percentages, and also based on some of our experience with Willow Springs, is that we believed it was probably important to cover some unexpected costs with installation. For example, we had at Willow, we did not have the smart boards, but if we have some smart boards over at the high school, that would be an additional cost for when we have an install. They'll charge us for taking those down. So we just wanted to cushion that for any unexpected costs that it might be with installation. So that's pretty much why you're seeing some differences with the differences in what we initially projected.
And then on network infrastructure, let's see.
That has to do with the way that we, the criteria of how we calculate the E-rate. I'm going to let Mr. Mueller share with you a little bit more about why we made some changes with that as well.
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Probably the biggest change was that we had to shuffle some of the 2025 licensing components down to 2026, which meant that we lost out on some of the E-rate funding that we wanted to have. But it was a very strategic reason. We were going to have 3-year licensing of the 2025 and 5-year licensing on the 2026 Instead, we moved it all to the 2026 to get 5-year licensing. And that way, when it comes time to renew, we'll be able to get full E-rate coverage on our renewal. So in the long run, it's going to save us money, but it is going to hit us a little bit harder up front. And so the biggest difference is just the change in licensing structure. And again, a little bit of extra contingency just in case there's added expenses like some additional cabling that they might need, or extra services that might come up.
That makes sense to have them all come up at the same time, because the last thing you're going to do is cut in between 2 different periods.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was part of it. I was hoping I'd be able to extend that 3-year out to 5, but they don't do that. You either buy 5 up front or you buy 3. So.
Impact summary just kind of goes through all of the pieces at once, I think. So if I'm reading this correctly, tonight we are asking for the 1.7 million from Prop A and the 1.7 million from Prop B. And that's the total that's being requested tonight. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And that year one for this, that's the student devices, that's just the high school, correct?
Correct, yes, just the high school.
Just to kind of comment on that, that's important to me that it's just the high school. I would love maybe some more clarity on our implementation or planned implementation as we roll out those future uses for the younger grades. I think we've done a great job in our presentations by talking about how we want to transition from the instructional technology to the learning technology. I think we have great language in the strategic plan about it being developmentally appropriate, instructionally sound. I think what I would like is to be able to articulate better what that will look like in practice, maybe just some guiding principles for, K2 versus 7, 8
Absolutely,
as we roll
yes.
that out.
Okay. So the motion before us is to approve the bond-funded capital expenditures in a total amount not to exceed $3,395,000 of 2025 bond funds. Trustees, are there any questions, or I'll entertain a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please both say aye and raise hands.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 19, consider an act on use of 2025 bond issuance for capital expenditures in an amount to exceed $75,000 for the school bus 3-point seatbelts. This was presented to us at our March 30th board meeting as part of a transportation update. In the interest of an efficient meeting, rather than stepping through the full presentation a second time, I propose we move directly to deliberations. Trustees, I will open the floor for any discussions or questions for Mr. Percival.
Do we anticipate any lead time problems with getting these installed sooner rather than later?
We do not, but that's one of the reasons that we wanted to go ahead and put it on the agenda for tonight, so that we can lock in the pricing and go ahead and get on the work order system with Bucks.
Move to approve, or motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. The motion before us is to, just to make sure I have the right language, is to approve the bond-funded capital expenditures for school bus 3-point seatbelt requirements in a total amount not to exceed $300,000 of bond funds. I had a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please both say aye and raise hands.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 20, consider an act on the 2026-27 board meeting calendar. The draft board meeting calendar was a discussion topic at our last workshop, and the item before us tonight is to consider adopting the calendar with the few changes that we had talked about. So we'll move directly to discussion on the latest draft calendar. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please both say aye and raise hands.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Our next 4 agenda items are board organization and annual governance items. Agenda item 21, annual announcement on the continuing education of the Board of Trustees. State law requires school board trustees to complete ongoing training for a governance role that is aligned to the State Board of Education's framework for school board development. All trustees are required to complete a specific number of training hours and a specific list of training topics. Trustee training is a statutory obligation with progress tracked annually and publicly reported by the board president at the last regular board meeting before a trustee election. So I will now read this report out loud into the record. Under the State Board of Education rule, completing required continuing education for each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As board president, I am required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, or is deficient in meeting the required continuing education. The requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of a trustee's election or appointment, or 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 7 training areas for board member continuing education. Number 1, local district orientation. Number 2, orientation to the Texas Education Code. Number 3, post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code. Number 4, team building. Number 5, additional continuing education. Number 6, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. And number 7, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. To the extent applicable to each board member, I will now announce the completion or deficiency as to required training. For board members who still have time remaining to complete required training, I will announce those board members who have scheduled timely training and those who have not yet scheduled the training. At the conclusion of this announcement, I will announce any board members' training in excess of the continuing education requirements. Number 1, local district orientation. 1, first-year board member, trustee Abristock. Number 2, orientation to the Texas Education Code. 1, first-year board member, trustee Abristock. Post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code. The following trustees have completed the post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code: McLaughlin, Bobo, Stock, Wheelis, Janes, and Owens. Number 4, team building. The following board members have completed the annual team building training: McLaughlin, Bobo, Stock, Wheelis, Janes, and Owens. Number 5, additional continuing education. The following board members have completed the annual additional continuing education requirements: McLaughlin, Bobo, Stock, Wheelis, Janes, and Owens. Number 6, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. The following board members have completed the biennial training on evaluating student academic performance and setting goals: McLaughlin, Bobo, Stock, Wheelis, Janes, and Owens. Number 7, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. The following board members have completed the biennial training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking: McLaughlin, Bobo, Stock, Wheelis, Janes, and Owens. Exceeding required continuing education. Board member Julie McLaughlin exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 13 additional hours. Board member Marvin Bobo exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 11 additional hours. Board member Aubrey Stock exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 7.75 additional hours. Board member Mark Wheelis exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 4 additional hours. Board member Jason Janes exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 6 additional hours. And board member Barrett Owens exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 4 additional hours. I've been dreading that particular. We'll move on. Agenda item number 22 is an update on board vacancy. So as we know that our community is aware at this point, there is a vacancy on position 3 of the Board of Trustees. I will briefly recap the events up until this point. At our March 30th board meeting, we accepted the resignation of Jeff Wood and noted that the seat is now vacant. At our April 13th board workshop, we considered the available options that the board has under Texas law of addressing the vacancy, and our majority vote was to proceed with filling the role temporarily by appointment. The appointment process will allow us to minimize the amount of time that the seat is vacant and will allow for the full board to participate in the important summer planning period for the 26-27 school year. In addition to the discussion that we've had at our public board meetings, we have also sent an email communication to all parents on March 24th, April 14th, and April 20th. Information regarding the appointment process is available on the district website and has been updated weekly in the Connect with Katie district newsletter. So what comes next is applications for the role have been open since Friday, April 17th. They'll be open for approximately 2 weeks until Saturday, May 2nd. The board anticipates meeting on Monday, May 4th, which is our normally scheduled May workshop, to review those applications and determine next steps. We anticipate holding interviews in the month of May and hopefully making that appointment at one of our June meetings. The primary trustee training is scheduled for June 17th through the 19th. And as we committed to our community, we will continue to provide updates along the way. Trustees, anything else that you would like to add? All right, thank you. We'll move forward. Agenda item number 23 is a board legislative update. This evening, the board will continue our discussion on our legislative priorities and talking points that we will use to communicate our needs as a district to our elected officials. I will turn the mic over to Jason.
Thank you. So we previously approved as a board the updated priorities list. Since then, our communications department and our cabinet and a lot of heavy lifting by Mr. Willman have put together details and numbers and talking points. And I think we're now at a point where if the rest of the board agrees, we would be ready to post this on the website, make it completely available to the community so that everybody could start using this in your conversations with other community members and legislators to further our legislative priorities as a district. So I don't know if there's any additional feedback. So I think the idea on this is the first part we approved on the actual detailed priorities. The second piece, as far as data and numbers, could probably continue to be edited and updated as time goes on if any of these things changes, and we can work with our administration to do that. But we think it's probably at a point now with all the edits and updates that have been made that we're ready to post it.
So appreciate the extra effort to get the talking points strengthened and added, information added to it, so it's transparent and clear for the community to be able to articulate that, to understand it. So I think that looks great. That was the addition that we were looking for from the last version, and it really looks on point, so thanks.
I think that's really good when you put the funding gap per student, because that way other schools can kind of hopefully piggyback on this as well.
I think the percentages and the per student data is very impactful. When you're talking to legislators, it'll make it more clear on exactly what the impact is, especially with those funding gap percentages.
And also, you know, the idea was to get this ready early enough in the interim to make sure that you could start addressing this with your legislature. Some of these issues that we've identified here.
Charges from the leadership, both from the governor and both chambers have been released now. Committees are starting to meet. This is now the time when real work is starting to happen for the session that's going to be here before we know it. So now's the time to really be engaging on a lot of these topics to have impact.
So appreciate the work of our legislative committee and our administration team in putting these items together. So it sounds like, board, we have consensus that our branded legislative priorities and these additional legislative talking points are ready for the press and the post. Yes? Okay, wonderful. We hope that our community finds them useful as well, and hopefully invite them to continue engaging with our elected officials as well. All right, agenda item number 24 is to consider an act on our superintendent's annual evaluation. So each year, one of the board's most important responsibilities is to set goals with the superintendent and then evaluate the performance of the superintendent against those goals. This annual process reflects our governance role, ensures accountability to district priorities and our core values, and provides an opportunity to assess progress, celebrate success, and align on continued areas of focus for the future. Earlier this evening in our closed session, the board completed our summative evaluation process, shared feedback, and had a meaningful discussion with Ms. Cordell. We are pleased to share that the superintendent and her amazing team has successfully led the district to meet the established goals and performance expectations set forth for this year, and in many cases exceeded them. The board would like to say our appreciation for her continued leadership, her commitment to excellence, dedication to the students, staff, and families of Lovejoy ISD. Not just for this past year, but also for the positive momentum that has been created and will no doubt carry us forward into the future. As many of our community know, the board recently had the opportunity to speak at length regarding Ms. Cordell's accomplishments at our last board meeting, where the board voted to nominate Ms. Cordell for the Texas Association of School Boards Superintendent of the Year Award. Since we just shared our comments at length just a month ago, we have agreed not to repeat them again tonight, but we want to emphasize that those sentiments remain fully shared this evening. A highly effective superintendent is essential to a highly effective school district. Strong leadership at this level helps create stability, direction, and continued excellence for our students, staff, and community. And this is what we all want for Lovejoy ISD, is strong student outcomes and the continued advancement of our legacy of excellence. At this time, board, I will entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's annual evaluation as discussed in closed session this evening.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye and raise hands.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Katie. All right, as we come closer to the end of our meeting tonight, we have announcements and updates. Ms. Cordell.
Thank you, Madam President and Board. We love when Lovejoy history is made, and we started off our meeting that way with Tenny Sagoon being our state champion in powerlifting. We have some more Lovejoy history being made. This past weekend was the VEX Robotics World Championships. They were in St. Louis this year, and we had several teams that will be back in front of us at a board meeting to be celebrated, but I did want to note that Team 1082M was the design division champion, which means they went to the Dome for the first time in Lovejoy history, and it also means they are one of the top 8 teams in the entire world. So well done, 1082M. Very cool, and I cannot believe that I am sharing this, but LCDC pre-K graduation is on Thursday, May 21st, and I cannot wait for that because that is such a celebration of beginnings, hope, and our future. And just a funny on that is I love to go backstage as they're getting ready because you never know what they're going to say. And one time I was at our LCDC graduation, and one little boy turned to the girl next to him and he said, "You know, this means we don't have to go to school tomorrow." And they did have school the next day, but so that was a nice try. And then our class of 2026 graduation is on Saturday, May 23rd. And I want to wish everyone this time of year all the joy of the hard-earned celebrations that are happening. We are having banquets and concerts and award ceremonies, and these are hard-earned by our students, by our staff, and through the generous support of our parents. So everybody enjoy this time of year. You've worked hard for it.
Thank you, Ms. Cordell. So on behalf of the board, we would like to recognize and extend our sincere thanks to the many parents, staff, and community members who have generously gave their time this year in service to our district through a district committee or through a leadership program. We're so grateful for your time and your service. This year, we had the Lovejoy Excellence by Design Strategic Planning Committee, who also attended one of our prior board meetings, the Bond Implementation Committee that we mentioned tonight, the Student Health Advisory Council, or SHAC, and the Student Library Advisory Council, or SLAC, and also Leadership Lovejoy that we saw earlier tonight. Your service provides valuable insight and thoughtful feedback that helps the board make informed decisions and better serve the district. And your willingness to share your time and perspective and expertise strengthens our schools and helps position Lovejoy ISD for continued success. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize that Teacher Appreciation Week is just around the corner. It's next week. We encourage our Lovejoy community to join with us in celebrating and supporting the outstanding teachers who invest so much each day in our students and make a lasting difference across our district. Finally, our next board workshop will be Monday, May 4th, and our May regular board meeting will be on Monday, May 18th. And with that, we are adjourned.